welcome to another episode of Murray Meets, and I am absolutely delighted with who we have to talk to today. Very good friend of mine, Mr. Christophe Didier, who's the Global Sales and Distribution VP for Copa Airlines. Hello, Christophe. Bonjour, ça va?
Hello, Ian. Bonjour and bon dia and buenos dias.
Of course, yes. So where are you sitting? Let's just put some context around where you are right now. So where are you sitting? How's the weather?
For once, I'm seated here in Panama City. I have to say, in my agenda, I would say more or less 50% of my time I'm in headquarters here in Panama City, and the other 50% I usually travel to the different markets that we operate, so that we serve.
Great.
And the weather, I mean, you came to Panama, you know the weather here. It's all year long, hot and humid. Panamanians will tell you, no, there are two different seasons. I'm having a hard time differentiating both seasons, I have to say, but it looks like between December and March, that's the best season to visit because it's the weather is drier, it rains less, and you have some kind of a small, wind, breeze, whatever. So it looks like between December and March would be the ideal season to visit, but all year round it's hot and humid.
Hey, listen, been to Panama a couple of times. It's gorgeous. It's a great place, great people, great food.
Beautiful.
So it could be worse. I'm there. I'm feeling the heat, etc. But look, for those who might not know you, Christophe, let's just kick off with you. Let's tell me a little bit about your background, how you ended up in Panama, maybe a little bit about where you came from before.
So, more than 30 years in the airline industry. So, it's been a roller coaster ride, I would say. Air France, KLM, then Delta Airlines, and then Etihad Airways, and now Copa Airlines. So, how did I get there? LinkedIn, that's a secret source today. So you just receive an email, at some point a message on LinkedIn and say, oh, we're looking for a new VP, commercial, whatever. And we need to find someone who has some experience in the Americas. And that's how it started. And being almost fluent, I would say, in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French helps, of course, since in the Americas, with those 4 languages, you cover 98% of the continent. So it helps.
Yeah, wow. It's a great background. Great experience. I can see why they sat you up very quickly. So tell us all then. Let's talk a bit about Copa, and let's take a look back. So, we don't need to spend huge amounts of time explaining the situation for the last 20 months, 22 months. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how your team, how Copa sort of weathered maybe a bit of 220 and then into 221, because obviously 220 was probably a very critical time. 221, we've been more bumpy, right? Because we've tried to open, we've closed. So why don't you just share from your side how you and the guys have weathered the storm? So
before the pandemic, Copa had a very relevant, I would say, role and situation in the Americas. We pretty much connect everyone from North America to South America, Central America, the Caribbean. So we are the intra-America carrier due to the fact Panama is best suited in the middle of the Americas to connect you from wherever in the continent to another part of the continent. So the pandemic has been a little harsh for everyone. In terms of COP, I would say we have not received any bailout, from the government. So we're not a North American or European carrier or some Asian that received some big boxes actually from their government. We have received pretty much nothing. So we had to take care of, I would say, several fronts. First of all, get some money to operate, of course. So we managed to get some lines of credit with banks, and we also issued some bonds, convertible bonds a year and a half ago, $350 million. And that really helped us, I would say, operate and be safe in case this crisis would last more than expected. So that's the first thing we did. The other thing, of course, is take care of your employees and customers. That's basic everywhere, I would say. Even if we had to, I would say, reduce by, around 1/3 of our headcount, but we did it through plans, voluntary plans, retirement plans. I mean, that's what we did. And I would say the one that stayed, of course, we have a lot of work, but everyone was really engaged and then serving our customer. I mean, my team, since day one, we have been close to our customer. Nobody at Copa, has said or found an excuse because of COVID. Okay, now we have Teams, we have Zoom, and we've been very close to our customers and trying to solve as many issues as we could, despite the huge, of course, disruption in the airline.
Yeah, wow. I mean, great words there. Yeah, look after your customers, look after your employees, manage your costs, manage your fleet, and just move very quickly with how things evolved, I guess. So coming into this year with the ups and downs, I mean, things got better, right? So where are you now? As you're sitting here looking into 2022, what are your plans? Where are you going to fly? What sort of fleet size you're bringing back?
So after 5 months where literally the airport in Panama City, Tocumen, was shut down between March and August, then we were able to start connecting passengers. They allowed us to connect passengers between the different countries in the network. We started with 10% of capacity in September, 20% October, 30% November, 40% in December. So we thought, we're doing good. And then came, another variant. So January was February, March, April, and then back in April, we saw an increase in the demand. And to be honest, now we're doing fine. We're really doing fine. I mean, the goal for this year was basically be cash positive. And we're missing now 3 weeks until the end of the year, or not even 3 weeks, and we're going to make it. So being cash positive in this environment is really cool. We operate right now 80% of the capacity we used to have. So with less aircraft, we sold our Embraer fleet. So now we only operate 737s. So we have the 700, the 800, and the MAX, but it's more efficient in terms of unit cost, in terms of operating, pilots, maintenance. It's more efficient having just one aircraft in the fleet with sub fleets. But so that's what we did. And I would say in terms of destinations, we used to operate 80 before the pandemic. Now we at 60 something. And the good news actually, this week, we have started 3 new stations. Who would guess that? We just started 2 new stations in Colombia, Armenia, in the coffee area, in Cucuta, nearby the Venezuelan border. And this Sunday, so in 2 days, we're going to start Atlanta, Panama. So that's cool. Yeah.
How exciting is that? And the competition around you. I mean, it's a vibrant, competitive marketplace. Lots of guys down there. So how's the landscape? How's the landscape moved and shifted?
It moved dramatically. If you look at 7 years ago, at the entire O&D landscape in the region, so the origins destination, that's the markets that Copa is serving 7 years ago, more or less 1% of those O&Ds, you could find an option with a low-cost airline. So very few low-cost airlines 7 years ago. Now, since even Avianca says they're a low-cost airline and they're actually pricing that way, and now we have 55% of our markets that the customer can opt to fly a low-cost airline. So huge disruption in the marketplace. And of course, in Europe, in North America, we've seen that in the past in Asia, but I would say Latin America now has really embraced that low-cost model, and we need to adapt. And we have adapted, and we will adapt even more in the next year when we start flying.
Yeah. And how about the customers? I mean, so obviously everything's down. I think with the pandemic, 2 things are going on, wasn't it? One is the airlines and the trade and the industry doing everything it can to control its own house. But obviously outside of that, we've got governments, we've got different policies being applied. And all of that really affects the customer. And when we talk about confidence, right? I mean, if there's a bit of noise in the press, the confidence wobbles. How resilient is South America? I mean, how are the customers in South America? Are they very resilient? Are they cautious, or how's that demand come back?
Yeah. So I would say, and I went to an event in Europe some weeks ago, and I was surprised, to tell you the truth, that basically Latin Americans were the one wearing a mask in that event, because more than North Americans, Europeans, Africans, Asians were not there because they were stuck at home. I would say, since we have faced a major sanitary crisis, and hospitals here were, I mean, full very quickly. So people really, our customers, they have adapted more than other regions of the world. They have adapted more serious protocols here, because they know that, I mean, if something happens to me, I can't even go to the hospital. There's no, I mean, no way I can get an ICU bed. And so people have, in a first moment, have respected, I would say, more the protocol than in other parts of the world. Second, I would say now people they're more used to coming back to their day-to-day lives, including traveling. If you look now, the traffic, even if you have some variance, whatever, it has affected us very little, I would say, because now people are used to, they know what to do, and they accept it. And we have a high vaccination rate here, actually higher than the one in many countries in Europe or North America, which is really, yeah, I mean, it's a surprise, because 6 months ago, everybody would say, oh, Latin America, come on, I would not go there, because actually we have more people vaccinated here in percentage-wise in most of the countries than in Europe, for example. So it's something that I would say have eased the return to almost normal day-to-day life. And in terms of Copa, if you look right now, with 80% of capacity, I mean, we used to have load factors between 60s, 70s, you know. Right now we're back to 80 plus load factor. So back to pre-pandemic. At pre-pandemic level, we would be 85. Right now we're at 82, 84, I think. So yeah, really good.
Wow. And so taking that forward, I mean, that's great to hear. So a lot of underlying people are used to this. They're resilient. They're getting vaccinated, and all the carriers are there, you know, picking up the traffic again. So going into 2022, you think that things will just continue to get better? Is it a case of the regional traffic will come in first, then there'll be a slow growth out to more international traffic? The transatlantic's open again now, so that more feed coming in. You know, can you see the customer base growing back out? Obviously, you know, we look after you in a number of markets around the world. So, you know, how quickly do you see that progressing?
If we consider the general population and our customers' mind, thought process, I would say yes. The industry is back. I would say that the major roadblock now are actually governments. I mean, some of them have reacted, I would say, strongly. And if you look back 20 months ago, you say, who has acted better? It's difficult to say, actually. It's very difficult. Is Australia doing the right thing, or Mexico? So I'm taking just two opposite examples of stay at home during 2 years, or the other ones, normal life. I mean, nothing happened in Mexico in terms of disruption of activities, of COVID protocols. So I would say now we are very much dependent on government decisions moving forward. So from our side and our customer side, back to normal, I would say. However, customers are not confident when some governments start saying, oh, you know what, I'm changing the protocol, and then should I go there? If right now I have to go to whatever, Israel, Japan, whatever, I can't make it. So, and even if I can make it at some point, I would think twice before I'm going there, because that government shut down already twice, 3 times. Do I want to take the risk? Now, in the Americas right now, I would say you don't have any closed country right now. I would say each one has a different protocol, which is a little difficult to operate, but we can pretty much fly everywhere right now and enter any country. So that's good news. And we feel like the governments, you know, they don't want to pay a high economic, social, and political price by shutting down again their country. So I think unless a very, very violent virus or variant comes, I don't expect traffic to go down. I think we're gonna have a good year in 2022. That's our expectation.
Yeah, I think having been very fortunate, talked to lots of other audiences and carriers and trade, I think there's a general optimism and a bullishness as well. And I think you're right that we've spent a long time being in, and the desperation to get out again and to live our lives and to travel more and perhaps more appreciative of it all, as well.
Agree.
What about, a couple of things that came out, or one in particular is, there's been all the climate change and all the talk about sustainability, etc. Where do you see that affecting, or what role in that dialogue is Copa looking to do, or the other South American carriers? Is there discussion in that area?
And that's a good point, Ian, because when I went to Europe a month and a half, that's a major issue for Europeans and for the world in general, but I would say the general public here in the Americas, especially in South America, is still less concerned by that particular subject. And I would say, unfortunately, because it's a critical matter we all need to tackle in the world. But you don't have this flying shame, social media, whatever trend here in Latin America. You don't see that at all. Now, are we doing nothing? No, of course not. As I just told you, we retired our oldest aircraft, and we have actually 71 Boeing Max in order, and we received already 13, and they're they're much more efficient fuel-wise and in terms of carbon dioxide emissions, but we still need to do more. And the aviation, I would say, right now, the airlines are doing their part, but I would say most of the work is on Boeing, Airbus. And then the fuel providers. They're all looking for biofuel and all the energy that we will fly in the next 2, 5, 10 years. So that's coming. We're gonna adapt, all of us, but I would say it's not a major matter right now, this return. No. But of course, we're following what others are doing because we need to, and but we don't want to fuel it, I would say.
No, it's in the conscience, but it's got its time and its place.
I would say that.
Other things. So the other obviously the other issue that's come up a lot is, whenever there's a crisis of any kind, whether it's the banking crisis or other issues in the past, technology comes to the front, and suddenly everybody is jumping on new ways of distributing or new ways of getting products out there. And I think the travel business is no different. We've seen a lot of talk about NDC, new distribution channel. We've seen a lot of the new players coming on the block, and a lot of pickup, I think, as well from the agency community, from the trade. So when you're sitting there from your place looking at that sort of development, whether it's direct selling or selling through the trade, working with our trade partners, and I think at that point I want to mention again that the resilience of this industry is incredible, and the way in which our trade partners have been there for our customers, they've been there for our airlines and our hotels and all the cruise lines, etc. They've done an amazing job in playing their part in that chain of keeping things going. But obviously, things are always evolving and changing. So where are you and are the airline of Copa, are you actively looking at NDC and how you can display products in the future differently and sell products differently?
We've started working on NDC, of course. That's a trend for everyone. If you look at the unit prices of a ticket in the past years, you see, of course, some years it stabilizes, but it's mostly going down. The average ticket price has decreased in the past years. And when you look at the GDS fees we're paying, they're actually going up because you're forced to sign contracts with inflation increases every year, and you have multiple ways GDS have multiple ways to charge you for any segment, which is used and used, cancel, whatever. So it has become difficult for us to remain competitive distribution-wise using the old GDS way. So of course, we're right now we're working on that. We have not made a decision as of today, but we're working on what the distribution of the future would be. And we're already encouraging travel agencies to prepare themselves to direct connect with us. We've started that, especially with the big ones. We want to make sure the main travel agencies will be able to connect with us next year. So we're working on that as we speak. I have a team dedicated to that purpose. And I mean, we're not the only ones. And once again, when you have 55% of your market, which is also served by a low-cost airline, you have to adapt. So while Copa wants to remain a full service carrier, we are already adopting some of the low-cost airlines practices. And I would say, I see that as a trend in the industry in general. Some low-cost airlines now, they have a sales team, but now some legacy airlines are charging for the first bag or whatever. So you see, I mean, when you use the basic fares, right? And we have launched already some months ago those family fares with basic, classic, and full price tickets. So with some different products. So we have started working on that. It's a combo between family fares, NDC, making sure you're competitive and you remain cost effective to weather the crisis and take advantage of the new technology in place.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're busy then.
It is always. Every day is a busy day. And Ian, when you serve markets like Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Bolivia, etc., Argentina, you can be sure that something's going to happen today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. I mean, never dull in this industry, and we keep working hard to make sure we don't only survive. Actually, we're doing right. We're doing well now. So to thrive and make sure we get more market share, and we're going to be one of the major airlines in the Americas moving forward. We're confident about that.
Do you know what? I have no doubt that you will. And the way in which you talk, the energy and the passion that you show there, Christophe. I mean, that's what I know of the brand. I mean, I know that brand. We've worked with you. We love working with you. You've got great people, great team. You care about your customers. You care about your trade. You care about all the channels that you work with. And I think that, as hard and difficult as it's been, the positive that comes out of this is that we perhaps come back maybe a little bit leaner, but stronger, more determined. But the one thing we don't lose is the passion, right? We don't lose that thrill of working in this crazy industry. I mean, let's face it, right? You've got to be a little bit mad to be here. But I think that ultimately, travel is there. It's not going to go anywhere. The way in which you've spoken there about the plans for Copa, the expansion, you open new airports, the demand is there. You've got more products. You've got a better airline, better aircraft. So it all points to a really positive picture. And it sounds like you're totally ready for some of the bumps in the road that's going to come through the pandemic as we get through to the other side, of which I'm absolutely sure we will as well. So,
Ian, if I can just, give you one perspective. We had our Investors Day some weeks ago. When we disclosed the third quarter results, financial results in Wall Street, and one of the analysts, I forgot which one, just said, "I can't believe this airline is able to reduce its unit cost even further, while they operate now a Boeing Max with a lie flat seat between Panama and long-haul markets." I mean, right now, if you fly to San Francisco, Los Angeles, Buenos Aires, Montevideo, Sao Paulo, you're guaranteed a lie flat business class with a premium product. So that's what makes Copa really special, because we have at the same time this strong culture of lowering our costs, however, at the same time providing a good product to our customers. So that's something which is different, I would say, from others in the industry, and which makes Copa different.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, I thank you. Listen, thanks for spending some time talking to me today and to our audience. Is there anything, as we just close out, anything you'd like to sort of say to those listening in, customers, the trade, etc., and any last message?
I would say come and visit Panama. It's a small but very interesting country. I mean, you need during life to get to know the canal, which is one of the masterpieces of the human architecture in the history. I mean, our beautiful Casco Viejo, which is the old city of Panama, all those mountains, beaches on both sides, on the Pacific side and the Caribbean side. I mean, come and visit Panama and travel with Copa. You'll get really surprised. On time, good service, and we're not very well known, of course, outside of the Americas, but inside the Americas, we're a major player. And just think about Panama City itself, 2 million inhabitants maybe, versus Mexico City or Sao Paulo, 20 million inhabitants. We more or less have the same, it's comparable, number of international flights here than in Sao Paulo. So for a small country, a smaller city, so very efficient hub, I would say the most efficient. Our customers every day, they tell me, Christophe, my connection is 37 minutes. I'm not going to make it. Please change my flight. Say, no, don't worry. You're going to make it. You go from one gate to the other gate in 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum, and your luggage will make it. And they call me after, oh yeah, it worked out. So really try, experiment us, don't be fearful. And right now the countries are pretty much open in the region. So take advantage of it and enjoy.
Great. Well, listen, Christophe, thank you. I can't wait to come back myself. Can't wait to come back.
Welcome.
And for those that we do like watching our football, so we'll definitely try and grab a game either over here when you come to Europe or when I'm back down with you.
I hope to see you this time. Not now that the UK is doing better, even if right now there's still a small way. But I mean, it's gonna go fine. It's gonna go fine.
It'll all get there. So listen, thank you. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas as well. See you in the new year. Wishing you and your amazing Copa team all the very best. And thank you again for sharing your insights on South America with us today. Thanks very much, Christophe.
Thank you very much, Ian. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.